Hey, architecture firm owners and emerging leaders. Get ready for unparalleled insight into the development of a world-class architecture firm and a worldwide organization driving the digital transformation of the design and construction industry. With Build Smart, the podcast that's changing how our profession operates. We share the incredible stories behind innovation in the building industry with my friend and co-host, Patrick McLamey, FAIA, former CEO of the international architecture firm, HOK.
You know, Yamasaki's office or firm lasted during his lifetime. And when he passed away, I think that was the end of the Yamasaki office. Helmut did not want that. He wanted a firm that would live out and grow beyond the founders.
In Season 1, discover the untold stories behind HOK's meteoric rise, from 150 employees in St. Louis to a powerhouse with over 1,900 staff members and 27 offices worldwide.
You know, they weren't as polite as the Kojima people. That was just boom. And anytime you have a creditor, whether it's Kojima or the bank, that wants their money, unless you can raise money someplace else, you are out of business.
Bankrupt. And hold on tight for Season 2, where Patrick takes us on a new adventure as chairman of Building Smart International, shaping the future of digital transformation in the design, construction, and operation of built assets.
Ian Howell, Ken Harold, and I, Ken was my technical representative from HOK. The three of us took a tour of Europe of 5 cities in 5 days. Very busy time.
Simply follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Smart now and uncover lessons that will transform you and your architecture firm. Hey, architecture firm owners and emerging leaders. Get ready for unparalleled insight into the development of a world-class architecture firm and a worldwide organization driving the digital transformation of the design and construction industry. With Build Smart, the podcast that's changing how our profession operates. We share the incredible stories behind innovation in the building industry with my friend and co-host, Patrick McLamey, FAIA, former CEO of the international architecture firm, HOK.
You know, Yamasaki's office or firm lasted during his lifetime. And when he passed away, I think that was the end of the Yamasaki office. Helmut did not want that. He wanted a firm that would live out and grow beyond the founders.
In Season 1, discover the untold stories behind HOK's meteoric rise, from 150 employees in St. Louis to a powerhouse with over 1,900 staff members and 27 offices worldwide.
You know, they weren't as polite as the Kojima people. That was just boom. And anytime you have a creditor, whether it's Kojima or the bank, that wants their money, unless you can raise money someplace else, you are out of business.
Bankrupt. And hold on tight for Season 2, where Patrick takes us on a new adventure as chairman of Building Smart International, shaping the future of digital transformation in the design, construction, and operation of built assets.
Ian Howell, Ken Harold, and I, Ken was my technical representative from HOK. The three of us took a tour of Europe of 5 cities in 5 days. Very busy time.
Simply follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Smart now and uncover lessons that will transform you and your architecture firm.
The evolution of architectural practice has been relatively slow towards change.
Yet modern shifts in business and design management have prompted today's leading architects to rethink how they are working.
Welcome to Practice Disrupted, a podcast produced by Gābl Media from the creative leaders of Practice of Architecture. I'm Evelyn Lee.
And I'm Janine Chastain. And we're here to explore how technology, cultural shifts, and emerging business strategies are changing how architects are building their careers and firms. Join us as we talk with industry leaders and explore the new frontier of practice.
A podcast that is so very needed right now. Practice Disrupted. Coming to Gābl Media follow us on social media, and visit GāblMedia.com for updates. My name is Mark R. LePage, and you are listening to EntreArchitect Podcast, where each and every week I speak with inspiring, passionate people who share their knowledge and expertise, all to help you build a better business as a small firm entrepreneur architect. This is episode 326, Sharing Stories of Detroit's Black Architects, with Saundra Little and Karen Davis Burton of Noir Design Parti. This episode of EntreArchitect Podcast is supported by our platform sponsors, Gusto, easy online payroll, benefits, and HR built for modern small businesses like ours. FreshBooks, the cloud-based accounting software that makes running your small firm easy, fast, and secure. And ArCAT, the online resource delivering quality building material information, CAD details, BIM specifications, and much more at arcat.com. Saundra Little and Karen Davis Burton, welcome to EntreArchitect Podcast.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. Saundra and Karen are the founders of Noir Design Parti, a Knights Arts Challenge winner. Noir Design Parti is a project designed to research and tell the stories of the professional journeys and creative works of Detroit's Black architects. And I can't wait to learn more about this project and what you're doing, what inspired the project, and how others can sort of dive deeper and learn more about the project. But before we do that, I want to know more about each of you. I want to go dive into your origin stories. I want to know what inspired you each to become architects and share that story to where we are today. Let's start with Saundra.
Thank you, Mark. I guess I've always known I wanted to be an architect at a very young age. I would say around age 12. Before starting like junior high or any of that, I had talked to my mother about an entrance in a career that involved art, and I had to do research myself to kind of figure out what that respectable career was to bring to my mom. I had to feel like it had to be something that she would like, she would support and say, yeah, that would be great to do. So just started to kind of learn about architecture and research it in school, and did a term paper on Mies van der Rohe when I was early in high school. So just trying to everything that I could to get my hands on to learn more about it. Took drafting classes, and it just got me further pulled into the career. I then went on from high school to go to Lawrence Technological University here in the state of Michigan, Southfield, Michigan, and got my undergrad in '94 and my master's in '98 from Lawrence Technological University. And it ended up getting I took the straight path, right? I went to my intern development and took my license exam. I was actually taking like some of my license exam during 9/11 because I had an exam actually scheduled actually the day before I took off 9/11 to study for an exam that I had on September 12th. And so I got my license in 2002 that following year. I was taking an exam when it was still 9 parts. So I had a direct path and a goal that I was chasing. I wanted to definitely be able to say I am a licensed architect, and that was important to me. And since then, just been very fortunate to work on great projects within the state of Michigan and within the Detroit city proper. Anywhere from the Arab American Museum in Dearborn to the North Terminal Airport out here that everybody comes into Detroit, the North Terminal, and a number of community projects that have just been very fortunate to work on within the city. The David Klein Art Museum, Art Gallery, which is downtown, Tech Town, co-working space, and actually Karen actually owns a co-working space as well. So Space Labs Detroit is another co-working space we've done in Detroit. Started my own firm during the recession. A lot of things happen when things are kind of seems like they're rough. So I started my own firm, Centric Design Studio, or co-founded my own firm, Centric Design Studio, during 2008 November with my business partner Damon Thomas.
Did you start that firm because that was in the timeline, or was there a strategy to starting it at that moment?
There was not a strategy. So we started it based on the recession. It actually had started prior to that because Damon Thomas and I were actually college friends, and started the practice just to enter design competitions. And we did enter a couple, one in Harlem, one out of Mexico, and just trying to find our creative juices and hoping that would be like a launch pad to our firm getting its start, winning a design competition, and then being this successful firm to start it out. But we entered a couple, actually missed a couple of deadlines trying to ship things out of country and different things like that. So learned a lot about working together. And then when the recession hit, my business partner and I got laid off from two firms here locally in Michigan within 2 weeks of each other, and decided to start our firm full time at that point. Used our existing networks and grew our practice. Like I said, listing out some of those projects I just mentioned, and had a wonderful ride with Detroit's revival and revitalization towards building up our firm for 10 years until we actually were acquired, and our firm was purchased by Quinn Evans Architects here in Michigan. So it's been a quite a ride, lots of turns, but good turns. I guess I can actually say I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, that's a great story. I wanted to just, before we get into Karen's story, I wanted to ask just one question about starting the firm during the recession, because I've had other people on the show who've started at that same time for the same reason. They were laid off, and that was the only way. It was the only option. In hindsight, do you see that time and that the opportunity to launch at that moment as a liability at that moment, or do you think that was an asset, a gift, basically an opportunity to be able to launch during a time that's sort of slow and you had to struggle a little bit more?
Yeah, well, now that I look back at it, yes, I can look at it as a gift, but then I did not. It was very much so like it was. I felt. I had no other place to go because at the time I was caregiving for my parents. So I felt like, okay, in Detroit, everybody always say if the rest of the nation has a cold, Detroit has a flu. And we felt like with everything going on with the big three and what was going to be the next thing for Detroit, it seemed very bleak. So,
yeah.
And I had no idea of the momentum that would come behind Detroit and its creative industry, the changing around of downtown. Just I did not have that foresight to see that. Like I said, it just after being on ground zero, I could say I ended up being connected to a lot of things that were happening on that ride up. So being on the newly formed, at the time, Detroit Creative Corridor, now it's called Design Core, Detroit here, that helped actually get Detroit as one of the first cities in the U.S. on the UNESCO design, and being able to ride that creative push by all the business leaders in Michigan to bring creativity back to Detroit. It's just being on the ground level with all those networks to projects led to exposure. It led to just so many things that we had no idea of, and we did not have in our business plan. It just
Yeah, and now your firm grew and Quinn Evans acquired, and now you're a principal at Quinn Evans.
That's correct.
So
Yes.
so this is so through the ride and through all the struggle to build a firm at that time and build into a firm that was strong enough that a larger firm would be interested in it. I want to have you come back. We talked a little bit about this before we before we hit record, because I want to hear more of that story, because I think there's a lot of architects who are, especially now with this abrupt downturn, I think there are a lot of architects that are sort of having those thoughts right now. What am I going to do if things don't work out the way I plan? I'd love to have a story that's sort of, a different time, but a similar situation, and have that whole story be told. So I want to focus on your project. So I'll invite you back to do that.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Yes, definitely. I would love to do that as well.
All right, cool. So Karen, I want to know your origin story. Sure. Where did you discover architecture? What inspired you to become an architect, and share your story?
So my path is not as linear as Saundra's, and it's still kind of wavy.
Okay.
So when I was younger, I really loved art and math. I had an uncle who was an architect, Harold Ward. He was an architect here in the city of Detroit, but he passed away when I was really young. So my family, I believe, kind of pushed me in the architecture direction. They always talked about Uncle Harold, and that he worked on Cobo Center here in Detroit. He was one of the architects for that project with Giffords Rossetti. So we also, my dad would walk me through different housing developments in our neighborhood as they were going up. And I loved to see the structure, the joists and the studs and everything, and seeing the project from start to finish. So that was my first entry into architecture. I also had a friend in elementary school, and her dad was an architect, and he would visit our class sometimes. So I think around the 4th grade is when I decided that I wanted to be an architect. And always, followed that path, took drafting classes and things in middle school and high school, so I could get into architecture school and have some type of portfolio. Attended the University of Michigan. I got my undergraduate degree in architecture. I also took classes in construction management, real estate development in the business school, and I liked architectural history. So this is kind of coming back full circle for me to look at the history of the architects in Detroit. But when I got out, I graduated during a recession. I was one of the few people in my class that got a job in architecture, but it didn't last long. So I decided that I wanted to start my own drafting company. So I did drafting and graphic design. And I was working in Flint, Michigan at the time. I finally did get another architecture job. I was at an architecture and engineering firm right outside of Flint. But I decided that where I was didn't want to pay me enough. So I decided to move closer to Detroit. I got a job at General Motors in facilities management, doing space planning and some architectural design. And I really loved that job, but I was working for through Kelly Services. And I said, hey, wait a minute, Kelly Services is getting part of my money. I could contract myself out. So I sent out my resume and my portfolio to a lot of different firms, and Smith Group was the first company to hire me. And I got to work on a lot of great projects there, Ford Field, Lions training facility, the Detroit Lions training facility, projects for University of Michigan and Michigan State. But I was a consultant and a freelancer with them, doing technical design, CAD drafting, and production work. So that was kind of my sweet spot, because after that job ended, I worked for quite a few other architecture firms and did my own projects as well. A lot of multifamily and single-family residential projects on my own. And then the recession hit. And I think around that time, let me move back a little bit. I started working with Hamilton Anderson Architects, and that's where Saundra and I met. We were working on the City Center Las Vegas project. Yeah. So we got to know each other a little bit. And then we kind of parted ways during the recession. But then when she started her firm, I I think I took a Revit class with you. I wanted to learn Revit, and her firm was giving people classes. She and Damon were teaching people how to use Revit.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that was a big help for some people during the recession to learn a new skill. So I have never known of another architecture firm to do something like that, training people people that didn't work for them, training them to use a new product. And a lot of people were not using Revit at that time. So I had started working on my Master of Business Administration at Wayne State University. And I really liked the marketing side. I really liked marketing when I was taking my classes. And in my career, I had worked with some of the architecture firms on their marketing and business development efforts. I worked for a construction company when I was in college, and I learned about bidding and proposals. So I really like the marketing side of the business. So I started to consult in that area for smaller firms that did not have that in-house, for architecture and engineering companies and some construction companies. And Saundra's firm was one of those companies that hired me. And we got to work a lot closer there. And then she started talking about how she wanted to research architecture in Detroit, Black architects in Detroit, and the Knights Arts Challenge came along. And I said, maybe we should, or maybe you, I think I said, maybe you should apply for this grant. And somehow I was the one that ended up writing the little blurb that got the ball rolling. So that's how we started Noir Design Parti. In the meantime, the city of Detroit, they had a program called Motor City Match, and they were helping businesses to start up in the city. They would give grant money for businesses to start in the city. And I had always dreamed of starting some type of collaborative workspace for smaller firms that that would have the same amenities in their office, so that they could have the same amenities in their office as larger firms could. So co-working was starting to grow around that time. Actually, another colleague of ours and I started thinking about the co-working concept back in the early 2000s. It wasn't even called co-working then. But my husband took a buyout from his company around that time, around 2016. And we decided to open Space Lab Detroit. That's co-working and shared office space. A lot of our focus here is on the design and construction industry. And we have four member firms that are architects. We have construction managers, real estate developers, all here in our space. And this is another way that Saundra and I have collaborated, because Saundra was the architect, her firm, Centric Design Studio at the time, was the architect for the design of the space. So that's where I am right now at Space Lab Detroit. We are still open. So we do have some of our members that are working here now, just a couple. And then we have a day pass member, because we know that there are some entrepreneurs who still need to get out and get some work done. So we're practicing our social distancing and disinfecting the meeting rooms after people finish. But we're still here. We're still here for people. If you need to print out some construction documents, we got the plotter. So.
Yeah, I love that idea. I love the idea of bringing firms together to collaborate and having a space and the equipment. I would love, Karen, for you to come back too, to have that conversation, because I think that there are other architects that have. I've heard that before, where there are other firms that want to do that, where firms want to come together, stay independent as firms, but then collaborate on production staff and equipment and that kind of thing. And so I'd love to have that conversation too. But
it's grown pretty organically here. They didn't initially start out to work together. They just needed office space, but now they're proposing on projects together and working on things that they probably could not have gotten on their own as a single firm.
Week after week, episode after episode, you hear me talk about some great companies who provide outstanding products and services to help us small firm architects build better businesses. Gusto, FreshBooks, and ARCAT have been dedicated supporters of the EntreArchitect community and this podcast for years. Every episode, I ask you to check them out and thank them for supporting us. Because with their support, we've been able to grow this podcast. And in turn, we've been able to grow the EntreArchitect platform, serving the global community of small firm architects like you. So today, I want to stop and thank you, the EntreArchitect community, for supporting them, our loyal platform sponsors. And I want to ask you to make an extra effort this week to connect with each sponsor, Gusto, FreshBooks, and ARCAT. Using the links that I'll share in a minute, you can find their contact forms and thank them. I mean, like literally thank them. Because as the economy shifts and slows, marketing budgets are shrinking. Companies are going to need to choose where they spend their marketing dollars. And we want them to spend them here with us, supporting the EntreArchitect community. So let me take a little bit of time here and share a little bit of information for each sponsor and the link for where you can connect, and then pause this episode right now and connect with each sponsor. Gusto, FreshBooks, and ARCAT. Small businesses across the country love running payroll with Gusto. Gusto automatically files and pays your taxes. It's super easy to use, and you can add benefits and management tools to help take care of your team and keep your business safe. It's loyal, it's modern, and let's face it, we all need some help with our payroll and taxes. Gusto is making it easy so we can focus on being architects. So give Gusto a try for free for 3 months. The link to give Gusto a try is entrearchitect.com/gusto. That's the link to connect and say thank you for supporting EntreArchitect. Visit entrearchitect.com/gusto today. FreshBooks wants you to know that you're not alone. FreshBooks has been supporting small businesses and solopreneurs, and specifically, they've been supporting us here at EntreArchitect Podcast for years. They know what it's like, how lonely it may be working from home. They know what it's like when times get tough. And they know that right now, as we all face this crisis together as a global community, we all need to do our part. So FreshBooks is responding and offering an unprecedented offer. Now, when you join FreshBooks, the cloud-based accounting software, you will receive 60% off for 6 months. 60% off for 6 months. Just visit entrearchitect.com/freshbooks, entrearchitect.com/freshbooks, and enter EntreArchitect in the How Did You Hear About Us section. Don't forget to do that. That's 60% off their regular price for 6 months. So visit entrearchitect.com/freshbooks, sign up for that 60% off, then go find their contact form and thank FreshBooks for being such a long time loyal supporter of EntreArchitect. That's entrearchitect.com/freshbooks. As you and your team are working from home, are the logistics of putting together a project daunting when no one is in the same room? ARCAT has a solution for you, and it's free. ARCAT's Charrette allows you to manage projects and specification documents online with multiple team members. Discuss products, configurations, outline specs, project photos, documents, and so much more, all on one page, along with the ability to access product information, specifications, CAD, BIM, and the patented Spec Wizard from anywhere in the world. Charrette can help your firm get more done, no matter where in the world you might be. You can even promote your firm's project when you're done. And like all of ARCAT's solutions, it's completely free to use. So check it out right now at entrearchitect.com/ARCAT. That's entrearchitect.com/ARCAT. ARCAT. entrearchitect.com/ARCAT. And don't forget to thank ARCAT for the years and years of their support for the EntreArchitect community. So thank you, the EntreArchitect community, for supporting them, our loyal platform sponsors, Gusto, FreshBooks, and ARCAT. I want to stay focused on Noir Design Parti, your project, both of you are the co-founders of it. Let's start first with the Knights Arts Challenge. What is the Knights Arts Challenge? And then I'd like to know in more depth what is the Noir Design Parti project. So let's start with the challenge itself, the grant.
So the Knights Arts Foundation, or the Knight Foundation, based in Florida, gives grants. They have an annual grant program in different cities around the country, and they award grants to people with innovative or creative arts ideas. So in our cohort, I guess you would call it, the awardees in our section in 2016, we had dance groups, we had a metal artist, there were, Saundra, help me, can you think of a few more? There were at least 30 grant awardees, right?
Yes.
In all different areas of the arts. Yeah. So I don't believe that the Knights Foundation had ever had, or this Knights Arts Challenge had ever had, or really focused on architecture as one of the grant awardees, because they were very interested in having our project in this cohort or in this area for grant awardees.
Great. So we understand. So they're based in Florida, but do they focus on specific regions? So when the cohort that you just described, are they all based in Detroit?
So our cohort, yes, is based in Detroit.
Got it.
But there are several other cities where they give grants as well. And there will be several people within those cohorts also. So just different areas of the arts. Our focus, because we do believe that architecture is an art form. So our focus is on the architecture of the city of Detroit, and the grants that they give should be specific to each city. So they are specific to each city. So how does the art that you are focusing on enhance the city and focus on the city that you're in?
Right. And that's what I wanted to clarify, because I wanted to make sure that the challenge was specific for Detroit, and the intent was to not only promote art, but to help benefit the city that they're focused on.
Correct.
Yes.
Great. So let's.
I just looked it up now that you were talking. It's 4 cities right now that they really do the grant challenge in. Miami is one. St. Paul, Detroit, Akron are the other cities that they kind of focus in with the challenge grant now.
Great. So if there are listeners out there who have some ideas for something like this, go to the Knights Foundation website and go check that out. It's called the Knights Arts Challenge, and you could apply. Maybe you can get a grant and develop a program.
And the grant.
Go ahead, Karen.
The awards go up to. The awards go up to, I think, $100,000. It is a matching grant, though, so you have to raise matching funds for that. So.
Great.
So it's a substantial amount.
Yeah.
But I have to say too, that's one of the I think one of the things that architects are not used to doing is that kind of that outside financial reach for different things. Right, so that's been it's been a challenge for us. We've been as part of the project trying to do activities, have tours that are based on African American architects, and charge for them and partner with other entities. And it's time consuming to do it by yourself. So partnership is key. Yeah. So like I said, reaching out to the community and actually using their resources as far as entities that can help with insurance for bus and tours and different things like that has helped us. So it's been like I said, we've learned a lot during the process of trying to figure out how to raise funds to do this. And some of it has been direct reach to architectural firms and entities. Just this is what we're doing, and they support our idea, and so we've had people support us in that way as well.
Yeah, excellent. Saundra, can you explain in more detail what the project is? Sort of go back to the beginning and sort of explain. You talked a little bit about what inspired it, your interest in history and the history of Detroit specifically. But what is the project and why did you start it?
Okay. So yeah, we as we're out in the community, and like I said, and especially with things like UNESCO City of Design for Detroit, it was all things that made me think about, okay, I'm sitting at an advisory board table for UNESCO City of Design and helping them with the application, but I'm the only African American architect in the room. And just hearing people say that, oh, I don't know a lot of African American architects. Are there other African American architects? And I'm like, yes, of course there are, right? and not realizing too that is our network, our kind of a social system that we kind of adapt to. We've kind of created with organizations like National Organization of Minority Architects. Mm-hmm. It's just to help others along the way. It's kind of like a family almost in with the knowing architects almost across the country, because you try to have these connection points and not realizing that others don't know about this network, others don't know about the history behind this network. And so to hear people say that, I was like, well, that was one of the first small firms I worked for, was an African American, two African American architecture firms. And I said, you never heard of Jane Scott? You never heard of Emmett Haygood? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay. And,
we need to fix this.
It was right. It was like, so to hear that repeatedly, and I know that they were big catalysts for my career, I'm like, yeah, we need to fix this. We need to figure this out. And I told Karen too, this is one of the things that we would do as she was consulting with us in our firm. She would be in there for, we're putting together proposals or whatever she was helping us with. We started conversations right in the office. And, I'm telling her how much of a big difference it made to me in college, not being able to meet an African-American architect prior to starting college. I met a couple in college, but to come across the book that Jack Travis had done called African-American Architects in Practice really opened my eyes to the number of firms across the country and what the National Organization of Minority Architects had done, and all of that's in the book, and how that was an inspiration to me in college. And then after getting out in my professional career, and like Karen said, I was working at Hamilton Anderson, which is an African American owned architecture firm here in Detroit. We were setting up and restarting the NOMA chapter here in Detroit, and during that time, and then I started, and then I, like other students, had been to NOMA conferences during college, but I had not. My first NOMA conference experience was when I was out of college and in my professional career, already licensed really. And I met Jack Travis at one of the NOMA conference that we had I think it was in Orlando, Florida. And I walked up to him. I was like, this has been a great honor meeting you. Your book was such an inspiration to me and helped me through college. When are you going to write the next edition of African American Architects in Practice? There are so many new firms out here. And he looked at me and said, well, I'm doing other things now. He's off actually studying kind of what he's calling like the African aesthetic. He was like, something like that. That's for the next generation to do. That's something for someone like you to do. And I'm telling Karen this story, and she was like, yeah, you should write a book. I was like, oh yeah, starting a firm and writing a book. Yeah, this is
with all my extra time.
Right, exactly. So, but we kept talking about it and kind of just started on a path like, what if we were to do this? We're right in that time frame and that generation that's in between, like the generation that was when I got out of college, that was almost like just the second generation of African American architects here in Detroit, and all the new architects that are graduating. We're right in the middle. We're like the connection point. So I think we can use that to our advantage because we can get those stories that the next generation does not know about. And then actually what really kind of catapulted us into submitting for the Knights grant was we started to lose a number of African American architects here that were in that first generation. Mm-hmm. So Roger Mardrum passed away. Sims and Varner, both which owned one of the largest architecture firms here in Detroit, they both passed away within years of each other. And it just really started to scare me, like, okay, they're passing away. I did have an opportunity to spend time with them and get some of their story. This is like Roger Mardrum, the NOMA chapter that we started here in Detroit. We did a Lifetime Achievement Award for Roger Mardrum and spent time with him and started collecting and scanning some of his work and did an exhibit for him. So we were able to get some data before his passing. So we were like, we need to do this before others pass away. And it was just happening so fast. So we were like, at least we do, because of our networks, we know the family members, we know colleagues that work with them. We need to interview and talk with these colleagues, family members, and start to document their stories. So Karen and I have literally been in living rooms of colleagues of Roger Mardrum. We've been in family members' homes of Sims and have them sit down and just pull out newspaper clippings and talk about their family. And we have been gathering that information. So as part of the grant, when we submitted we had our point of the project was to do video vignette storytelling, to have a online directory that listed out each of the architects by generation. It was to also get as much, photographs and different things that we can get, and see if we could put that into a produced website at the end that people could now search online and find out about African American architects. Because the names that I've been mentioning, more of their names are now popping up online because of our research and our lectures and our tours. But before then, you could not Google any of them online. So we made it a point that at the end of the project, we wanted people to be able to find out about the rich history of African Americans and their contribution in Michigan. And then we actually came up with the name Noir Design Parti too, because it was Detroit focused. We're doing all of Michigan, but it's Detroit focused, and Detroit is a French city. So we named the project kind of with a French background. So that's where Noir is French for black, and then design, and then the Parti concept sketch. So we're going to kind of give you a concept of what it's like for an African American architect within our project. So that's good.
So is it essentially an archive? Is that sort of the core of it?
Yes,
that it's a depository of the history of Black architecture in Detroit and Michigan, and then correct. Once it's sort of assembled as an archive, then it sort of could be distributed out to the public?
Correct. Digitized and a lot of things, scanning a lot of things. Actually, Karen has opened up Space Labs Detroit that we tell any of the architects that they need to drop off any information, you can bring it to Space Labs Detroit, and we'll scan everything that you have and start to create a digital archive of everything. So it's the first of its kind. We actually are talking about the same thing too within the National Organization of Minority Architects, how to do that on a national level. And it's actually starting to come to a point that each city is going to do this kind of same thing.
You're answering my questions before I ask them, because that's actually one of my questions is because this is clearly a great model, and there's architecture and Black architects all over the country, all over the world, and so do you see this as sort of a model for other cities to be able to do similar things?
I think it could be a model, and some other cities like Atlanta, they've started compiling information, their NOMA chapter. Los Angeles has created a map of architecture done by African American architects in that city. And when the NOMA conference was there, I believe when the NOMA conference was there recently, they did some tours. And we do the same thing. We have a map of Detroit architects' work, and we tour through downtown and midtown. So, and Pascal Sablon has an exhibit that she has traveling around the country and around the world called Say It Loud. So she's doing some of the same information, compiling not necessarily history, but information about architects that are currently practicing.
Do Saundra mentioned a little bit about the link between the past generation to the future generation. Do you both sort of feel a sense of responsibility to execute on this project? That once I know that the project was sort of a passion project, but now that you're doing it, do you sort of have that sense of responsibility that you are the link, that if you don't do it, that this link may not be connected and you'll lose some of that history?
Yes. It's
we do.
Yeah, we do. And now it's like every year now people are contacting us for events. Like, so every Black History Month, we have a series of talks that we do during February for Black History in Detroit. We've talked at the University of Detroit Mercy School of Architecture. AIA Detroit has contacted us. We've done a talk with them, and also Building Matters out of Ann Arbor. So we've talked with them in the Ann Arbor Public Library. So we've become like we have these bookings now for outreach events, and we've now partnered with the Detroit Historical Museum last year to do a tour of Midtown and downtown with African American architects' work in the areas downtown. And this year they already contacted us as like, okay, we want to book it ahead of time now. We want to get a date. What date works for you? So it's like we're all in now. Everybody, if they actually have a question on an African American architect here locally, they contact us. So and now we feel like it's our responsibility that we have to get it is where it's not just with us and it's accessible to all. So to finish that website piece, and now having the information to put on the website, because that took a minute too, to scan all the stuff and different things that we are gonna, some of the things we're gonna put up there. So now it's our responsibility to get it to the world, because we now see that now that we're talking about it, others are interested, and we've talked to students, and students are interested and inspired by it. So
and want to volunteer to help us.
That's actually my next question is there a way for people to help you? Is there any way for listeners of this show listening to what you're doing, whether they sort of want to do something similar where they are, or whether there's some way that they can help you? Do you have any suggestions for them to be able to reach out to you?
They can contact us at hello@Noir Design Parti. So hello at NOIR Design PARTI.com.
Okay.
And we'd be happy to talk with them and answer any questions. It'd be great if other people wanted to do something similar.
We'll have that email address on the show notes as well. So you can just go to the show notes for this episode and we'll have a link to that email as well. Do you have a team, or is it just the two of you right now?
Well, it's mainly the two of us, but I have to be thankful to my business partner because I've used firm resources for this in the past. When I was at when we had our own firm, Centric Design Studio. So and actually we were fortunate enough too with 1 year being a small business. We were able to get student interns to come into the office that were looking for experience in an architectural firm. So we actually had a couple of students in, I think that was the summer of, was that 2018?
2018, I believe it was, yeah.
We had a number of students that helped us with our first exhibit boards that we put together for an exhibit that we did for the month of design, and at the University of Detroit Mercy. Those students we're learning Adobe software and learning putting together timelines and graphics and actually learning a lot and actually in our office actually doing it. So they got exposure to architecture. That was not the only thing they worked on for the whole summer, but they had other things too. But we were able to use those students as resources. A couple of students from, at the time it was Henry Ford Academy, a local high school, and also at University of Detroit Mercy, there was a couple of students from there as well that worked on some of our early stuff. And then we've had a number of people volunteer here lately that are interested in helping us do a wikithon and wiki pages. And a lot of students are still coming forward. Actually, we did a lecture just last month and had some students that are stepping up. So we're going to try to figure out how to schedule that now with everything that's going on in the world right now with the virus. But we are going to get back on track and get something scheduled so we can talk to everybody about how do we get some pre-data typed up and ready for wiki page when we do the wikithon.
Yeah. Their names are Saundra Little and Karen Davis Burton. The project is called Noir Design Parti. We'll have information all about that on the show notes. You can look them up on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They are all there. Why don't you go connect with them right now and say hi and that you heard them here on the EntreArchitect podcast and see how you can help them build their project. So if there's anything that you can do, if you have any information for them, any volunteers out there, connect with them and say hi. Saundra and Karen, this has been a very interesting conversation for me. It's inspiring. I'm hoping that there are other people who are listening right now who have similar ideas and you have inspired them to execute, because I think very often we have these ideas that sort of are buried in the back of our minds that keep popping up, all through our lives. Right. I should do this. Right. I should do this.
Right.
And very often it just takes to hear somebody else who's done it to be the inspiration to execute on it. Because really, it just takes like that initial conversation that you had. You should write a book. Well, why don't we apply for this grant and see what happens? It really just takes that one decision to start.
Yes.
Right.
You're right.
You don't have to figure the whole thing out. You just need to figure out how are you going to start. Right.
Yes.
And so if you have those ideas and you think you can contribute to the profession in any way, just start. There's a perfect example right here. I appreciate you both for coming here and sharing your stories and for the leadership that you have taken on yourselves to contribute to the profession. I thank you very much for doing that and for joining me here today at EntreArchitect Podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on.
This has been episode 326 with Saundra Little and Karen Davis Burton of Noir Design Parti. And it is such an inspiring conversation. So I encourage you to share this episode with a friend, EntreArchitect.com/episode 326. Let's get the word out about what Saundra and Karen are working on and inspire others to do their part to make the profession stronger by telling the stories of our past, of all of our past. As I wrap up today, I want you to listen to the words that I speak and share each week here at EntreArchitect. These 3 words are the answer to so many of the problems that we have here within our profession and throughout the world. If we all just lived our lives following this creed, the world would be better, would be happier, it would be healthier, safer, it would be more secure, it would be united. All of us would be united. 3 words, take them in, think about them, then take action on each one. How can you make your world, the world within your control, how can you make your world better? By living these 3 words. Simple words that are so powerful. Love, learn, share. Thanks for listening. Have a great week.
Imagine earning continuing education credits while doing exactly what you're doing right now. Well, you can. Gābl Media has revolutionized the way you earn your continuing education credits with a groundbreaking approach. Forget running around town and scouring the internet for credit-worthy courses. Fulfill your CE requirements effortlessly by listening to engaging podcasts just like the one you're listening to now. Our podcasts are designed to educate, entertain, and inspire, all in a user-friendly environment. But wait, there's more. Architects, Gābl Media is also approved as an AIA continuing education services provider. Upon completion, we handle everything, from reporting your hours directly to the AIA to storing your certificates in your personal Gābl Media profile for your self-reporting needs. So follow the link in the show notes and start earning your credits in the most innovative and entertaining way possible with Gābl Media.
Attention architects and creative minds, get ready to supercharge your brand with Build Your Brand, the podcast that's unlocking the secrets of branding success for creatives. Hey there, it's Mark Arlepage, founder of EntreArchitect, and I'm inviting you to join my friend, architect marketing expert Jeff Eccles at Build Your Brand podcast, where he explores the captivating stories of the world's top brands and transforms their lessons into powerful moves for small firm architects and creatives like you. In Season 1, Jeff shares the thrilling tale of Southwest Airlines, where he dissects their journey to the summit and distills it into strategies tailor-made for you.
It's important to keep in mind that companies like Southwest compete in the real world, just like you, and face real-world challenges, just like you. You might be surprised at how similar those challenges are to the struggles that you grapple with on a day-to-day basis.
Don't miss out on your blueprint for success. Subscribe, tune in, and let's build your brand together.
You may have noticed that the very best brands in the world are also known for having somewhat unique corporate cultures. That's often the glue that holds everything together when they encounter those rough spots.
We don't do it because it inconveniences the passengers to whom we are primarily dedicated, the short-haul, frequent flyer.
Follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Your Brand today. Remember, no matter the size, the journey's the same. Your brand's journey to the top starts here.